Blayne, your new movie that's coming out is Cut to the Chase. And I want to just quickly talk about, you had 3 movies previously that you also wrote, directed, and starred in. And those were Outside Sales, Weather Girl, and 6 Month Rule. And those were romantic comedies.
Right.
So now, why the change in genre? This action crime?
Yeah, you know, my last 3 films, romantic comedies, right? And a lot of that reasoning is just budgetary, you know? It's like I'm doing low-budget movies. My first movie was $80,000, then Weather Girl was under $500,000, and then 6 Month Rule was $1 million. And slowly growing in budget, but always, you know, being a small budget movie. It's basically because I didn't think I could do anything else, because it's way easier to shoot a kiss than it is to shoot an explosion. And like, I just thought that was like really my only option between, like, I could do a family drama or something, but no action, no thriller, no anything like that. And then I had this experience actually with Paul Osborne making Favor, which I starred in with this actor Patrick Day. And this was my first experience doing a micro-budget movie. I believe the budget was under $50,000 for that, and it was intense, and it had thrills, and it had a real noir kind of feel to it. And then I have friends, a filmmaker named Zach Forsman, that made an action film called Down and Dangerous last year, and I was just amazed at what he was able to do on the budget. So I was inspired by these other filmmakers who were doing really risky, micro-budget things and pulling off these really amazing films. So seeing those guys, I'm like, it is possible. So I set out to do that, and basically built the entire film around being able to do it for this budget.
So now you play a bad guy this time, whereas before you're always the lovable, either bachelor or in some type of a love entanglement. Yeah. So why the change? Why write that role for yourself?
Well, part of it was budgetary. Part of it was, like, you know, in doing an action thriller kind of thing, one of the biggest risks is, you know, harming somebody. Like, you know, one of my actors getting hurt. And so I built the script around this one guy who gets all the bad stuff happening to him. So I know it's going to be me, and, you know, if I get hurt, I won't sue myself. But that was part of it. But also, like, I really like the idea of, like, a John McClane kind of character who's, like, you know, he's an action hero, but he's a real guy, right? He's fallible and human, and with Max, I just wanted to create somebody who was kind of an anti-hero, who was stepping up to being a man, really, for the first time in his life, you know, for the only reason he ever would, to protect his little sister, who's always watching out for him. You know what I mean? I like the characters that are flawed, and they're also more fun to play.
Right. Now, you shot the film, right, in Bossier City, Louisiana?
In Shreveport, yeah.
Or Shreveport, I'm sorry. Okay, that's where you're from, is that right?
Yeah, I grew up in Bossier City, and Shreveport is our big city right next door, so we shot the whole film there, and it was really awesome, like, doing a film in my hometown, because the entire community really got together to support it. I mean, like, you know, I wrote all the acting parts for people I knew in the theater community and the acting community in Shreveport, and we built all the locations around locations I knew we could access. But it was great. Like, people would lend us their cars, you know, for show cars. They would show up and do extra work. Literally, people made lunch for us, so we didn't have to spend money on lunch. It was really cool, and, like, we just did a big, like, premiere in Shreveport, just kind of to thank the city, you know, for all the support they gave us. Red carpet, tuxedos, the whole thing, and it went really well. So we've got a big support team down in Louisiana that can't wait for this movie to come out.
Did you have any moments where, let's suppose you were between takes or something, and it hit you like, oh my gosh, first of all, I didn't even know if I could make it in LA or New York, and now I'm back in my hometown. Like, some kind of weird, like, thing hit you? Yeah.
I mean, there's nothing more surreal than being on set and shooting a big fight scene, and, you know, having the blood and the thing, and we have, you know, guns with blanks going off. We've got a stunt coordinator standing right offside, you know, making sure I'm okay. And I look up, and my mom is helping out with craft service over there. You know what I mean? It's incredibly surreal. It's like these worlds colliding, you know. But yeah, I also shot 6 Month Rule in Shreveport for a bigger budget. So I've had both sides of, like, getting to come home and getting to bring a production there. And cut to the chase, it's much more a homemade movie. Like Shreveport is all over that thing, you know. 6 Month Rule, we kind of built it in LA and then brought it down, you know.
Right. Okay. Yeah. Maybe I'm getting confused because I remember seeing it and there were a lot of city shots, so I wasn't sure.
Yeah.
So I was just wondering how that was because I mean, so many people leave their little town and they go to do bigger things, and sometimes there's people that want them to succeed, and then there's others that kind of like, you know, maybe they're enviously living through them, thinking, well, I don't know if I could do that. So
no, absolutely, that's absolutely true, and
yeah.
that happens. You know, happens with me. I think it happens with everybody. You know, you've got people who are, you know, staunch supporters of you, whatever you do, and then you have people that are just waiting for you to fail. And I mean, I think the more success you have, the more you create, the more that's a very real balance. But like, you know, haters gonna hate.
Yeah. Well, I can't imagine anyone hating on you.
Well, that's very nice of you to say.
Yeah, but I know that there's that dark energy out there that you never know. But anyway, so yeah, I just thought it was interesting that you would come back then. It sounds like a second time then to make these films, and just probably it's got to be a little bit surreal because, you know, so many people end up going back home and then just getting the regular job and never setting foot on a movie set again. And now you're making a second film.
I take the LA job and I just go, I take it home. Yeah.
Well, yeah. I mean, you know, it doesn't mean people don't have temporary layovers.
Right.
I think everybody that's in some form of show business has had a layover or two, however long they last. But I think it's just interesting. Yeah, so it must have been cool. And it sounds like your mom is a very big supporter of you.
She's great. She would like, my mom has always been a huge supporter of mine. But like one of the coolest things was we were having a production meeting in Shreveport. It was our day 2 of pre-production, and my mom asked if she could come to the meeting, and I'm like, sure, you know, why not? And so we're there, and she contributed a whole lot about organizational stuff, and you know, and by the end of the meeting, Mindy Bledsoe, who's my producer, said, "Can we bring your mom on?" I'm like, "What do you mean? Like, in what way?" She's like, "I don't know, production coordinator." And I'm like, "If she wants to, do you want to?" And she's like, "Well, I'd love to. That sounds really fun." So my mom was our production coordinator, and she's very organized.
Oh, cool. Well, I can see where you get it from because I know that you are very organized. You know, we've talked before, and we've talked about, you know, emailing and calling, and you seem very detail oriented in that way, and that's.
I try to be. Well, you know, I mean, you know, as well as anybody that, like, especially the movie business, it's all details. You know, you let one thing slide, and you know, there goes your marketing for the movie. You know what I mean? It's like, how come there aren't more nuclear accidents? You know, redundancy over and over and over again. You know, it's like, are we sure that the DCP has arrived? The DCP has arrived. Do they also have a Blu-ray player? Okay, I have a Blu-ray in my backpack. If that fails, then we have this. You know, and like, that's life. And the day you don't show up with the Blu-ray, that's the day your DCP, you know, dies.